live special episode of the Juicebox Heroes podcast. I'm one of your hosts, PK. Riles is joining us tonight. We also got Mr. H-Town Wheelhouse in the house joining us for this special episode, guys. We got some pretty big news that came through on the waves today. Tucker gets traded to the Cubs. We get three guys back. Paredes, Wisniewski, a relief pitcher, and their number, I think he's the number, their number 8 third base prospect, Cam Smith, who instantly turns into our number 1 prospect in our club. So guys, how was y'all's day? I want to hear your reactions. What your immediate thought was right when you heard the trade.
Bryce, go ahead and take it.
Or Bryce, doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, Bryles, man. We got you, dude. You're the man. You got the throwback Astros. We got to hear it.
Yeah, no, it's, I was talking on the podcast last night. I was like, we've got to, as a fan base, kind of change the way we think about all these guys we love. If Tucker only had a year left and, that's all he had, we don't want to see him walk and we get nothing back for it, especially when the farm is bare. So we got a pretty decent haul. So my first reaction is this was fantastic. And it's going to cover our infield. If we sign Bregman, Paredes can go right over to first. If Bregman walks and goes to somebody else, he instantly slots into third. And we've got, obviously, Cam Smith is a third base prospect as well. And just like PK said, he's going to be one of our number 1 prospects, if not our number 1 already. And we've got a Houston guy that's coming to play for us as a pitcher. So my first reaction was, this is a fantastic trade, and we'll see how it goes. But that's where I see it right now.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think, you would like to think that they could have gotten one of their top 10 prospects, or maybe, top 5 prospects. I know everybody was looking at the other guy at Shaw, and they've got some, there's some really good prospects on some of these teams. When you look at the Red Sox and you look at some of these other teams, but you have to deal with the fact that you're dealing with the 1-year rental. The Cubs have not given any hints as to whether or not they're going to extend Kyle Tucker or not. Now, Cubs fans are already saying, like, if you sign Tucker and let him walk, like, that would be terrible. Like, you need to keep this guy. He's a 40-40 guy. He's a legit guy. And, King Tuck, we know what he meant to the Houston fan base. We know what he means to this club. We know, how he contributed in 22. But the last couple postseasons, he's kind of been absent.
Yep.
And regardless, you lose a guy in the regular season that gives you that push, that helps you win that division, so on and so forth. But when you got Cam, the more I look into this kid Cam, the more excited I am about him. I reposted his first professional baseball home run, and I was like, he swings a lot like Carlos Correa. I just something about him. He's a tall, athletic kid. Was phenomenal at Florida State. Was phenomenal his first year in the minors. And then this other kid tends to give up a lot of home runs, out of Cy-Fair. But at the end of the day, if they can fix him, if there's any club in this league that can fix a pitcher, it's the Houston Astros. So sign me up.
Yeah, so that's I'm kind of hoping that, like you said, Brett, that the Astros can sprinkle their pitching dust on this guy, and do similar to what they did to you say, right, where you just sprinkle that magic pitching dust, and then this guy had completely changes his career around. Chris wasn't able to be with us tonight, but he had a couple hot takes. He actually had a hot take today where he called. Well, I'm gonna give him a little bit of crap because he had a couple hot takes like 2 days in a row with the same thing, so it was bound to freaking happen. But I think once we had the news from the winter meetings that Dana Brown was listening to talk or offers for Tucker, it was like, because that never really crossed my mind. It really didn't, to move on from Tucker. And then once that happened, it's like, man, well, we've got like a depleted farm system. We could get some, 1 or 2 guys back to help rebuild that. with Soto signing at 756, we talked about this last night. With Soto signing at 756, that increases Tucker's overall contract to 350, 400, 450. So in the years that it would take to do that, Crane's not going to do that. We have the history of not going past five. I mean, the 6 year offer to Bregman was the first time that he's offered more than five, right? So then it became, it's like, you don't want to get rid of Tuck at all, right? Because of what he's meant to this franchise since he's come up or been with us. But at the same time, this becomes like you're getting younger, you're saving money, right? Because the Astros are up against it, right? With the money. I mean, look at what we're going through now, right? So I was happy and kind of like, man, it sucks because it's an end of it's not. I heard on the radio end of an era. The era ends. The era ends in any dynasty. At some point, it has to reload. Okay, and
Right.
I'm not saying this dynasty is over, right? But if we were to sign him again, because I had a buddy of mine say, we're screwed. Like, it's Tuck, man, it's Tuck. And I said, well, look, if we sign him again, or we're not sign him again, if we keep him for this year and we make a run and he
Right.
leaves, then it's another marquee guy that we've got nothing back for him, right? So I like it. I was kind of surprised that Suzuki wasn't in the deal. I was thinking there was going to be a fourth guy in it.
I thought there's gonna be at least one other prospect in there.
Exactly, because they were talking about the Shaw and I'm brain farting on the other guy. It was Shaw and it was their number one and their number six were the
Right.
two guys that I was seeing. But yeah, so I kind of thought there might have been a fourth guy, a second prospect, or Suzuki. But Browse, like you said, if we lose Bregman, Paredes goes straight to third, right? But if we
Well,
keep him, I think you
right.
could move him over to first also.
Straight to first. And not only that, but Isaac Paredes. And I was talking to my buddy that's a big St. Louis Cardinals fan because he's obviously watched him in a whole bunch of games. He's a dead pull hitter. So, I mean, this guy's got power and he's going to be hitting into the Crawford boxes all day long. So, I don't care if he plays first, I don't care if he plays third. The one thing that we do know is that his home run stats are going to go straight up the
Yeah.
minute that he puts on an Astros jersey.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that right there, he becomes a superstar while he's with the Astros. We've got Cam Smith for like 6, 7. I mean, we got him for a while. And Dana Brown also said today in his press conference that they're not outside of the thought process of possibly putting Cam at first or even being a corner outfielder. So you also have that possibility. You got Bryce Matthews waiting in the wings. You've got Jacob Melton coming in the
Mm-hmm.
outfield, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then you got Carlos Baerga talking about how it's rumored that Santander is going to sign with the Astros. Now,
Whoa. I didn't
if
hear
What?
the
that.
Astros, if the Astros can sign Santander, I believe that will be very, very welcomed in the clubhouse because Michael Schwab, who I do know that he has connections with the club, he was asking, people were saying, okay, what does the team think about this? One of my friends, she was like, hey, what do you think Altuve's saying about this? I'm like, Altuve's probably not too happy. But he said the feeling in the clubhouse is from a business standpoint, they understand moving Tucker, but from a personal standpoint, that it's not devastating, but it's a travesty if
Mm-hmm.
they don't fill more holes. And if you're going to go out and get someone like a Santander, you need to do that. It sounds like Dana said today. I don't know if y'all heard his press conference. He said we have an opening in left field, meaning Jordan Alvarez is going to be a DH
Oh yeah.
probably 90% of the time. And, Jordan, when I had the honor of interviewing him like a season ago when he was on a rehab assignment, he would much rather play in the field. But I'm sure at this point in time, he understands his bat is really the most powerful weapon he's
Right.
got. And he's the most feared hitter in baseball, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I listened. Chris actually, I wasn't able to listen to the press conference, but Chris was able to give me a little bit of a little bit of information of what Dana Brown said, and this was his. This is what the outfield looks like at the moment. Okay, McCormick Myers, and then a platoon of Taylor Trammell and Mauricio Dubon. You know, so yeah, there's a hole, right? Like there's
Yeah.
the hole.
Yeah,
So the Santander thing it would be incredible.
it
Like
would be huge. I
it
mean,
would be incredible.
think about it. Okay, Jose Altuve, Yainer Diaz, Jerry Pena, Anthony Santander. Um, you have Paredes.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all this power, out there, and I mean, this club still is viable. I know people are like, okay, you're done, you're not
Yeah.
competing because Tucker's gone, but I think this club still competes. We're in a weak division. We're in the AL, and this is what the beautiful thing is for us guys. We got to think about this. All these superstars, they're literally all going to the National League.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
literally
Well,
all
that
going
helps
away to
for
the National League.
sure.
Yeah. So they have to have World War III just to get to the World Series. We just have to get to the Yankees, and that doesn't seem hard.
Well, right. And look, and we talked about, last night with if prior to Tucker being traded, it was, hey, look, we didn't have him for 3 months,
And we were fine.
and we were fine. Now, granted, it is Tucker. It's a big deal, right? I mean, it's a big deal,
100.
right? I mean, it's a huge loss for the team. But at the same time, it's good for me at least to know that I can look back from June 3rd till the beginning of September and see what this team did, right, without him. To say, look, we still got the pop in the lineup. We can still hang, right? So, is there anything? Has there been any word on Framber? I haven't heard a peep. Do you think
Neither have
there's a
I.
market for him, or is it just
I believe Dana said that they are not going to be trading him tonight. That
okay?
was part of his press conference. He said I think they probably fielded offers,
Right.
but that is not. I don't think it's going to happen. This is what I think Dana and the Astros understand, and I feel like they haven't. I'm not okay when I say Fromber's tapped out. I just don't know if he's going to be much better than he's been. Like I think he's at his best right now, and
Right.
then you have decline coming in maybe 2 seasons, right? Maybe some decline. But he's your 180, 200 guy. There's no way they could let him go. Yes, Hunter Brown can be your ace, but everybody else, yes, while they're younger, they don't have that experience. You need to keep Fromber as the head, as the elder statesman on this team. And the offers they probably got were not very good. I'm pretty sure because Fromber
Yeah.
has one more year too.
Yeah.
Free up the money in 25. You come in 26. You offer him a 5-year deal worth $120 million or $100 million. Offer him $20 million a year for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you got to do to keep him here, and you got the money to do it. And I think Fromber's your 180 to 200 guy the next 3 or 4 years easily, and you can't find that anymore in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And especially you're talking about like a number one. So yeah, for that kind of money, yeah, for a number one, no. But to your point, like where's the decline going to be in that contract, and where does he go from a number one to a number pretty much 2 or 3, and still thinks he's a number one?
Right.
That's the one fear that I've got. So I know that obviously that's why you have managers and pitching coaches and all this other stuff to get that all settled. But at the same time, that contract just kind of that's a big matzo ball hanging out there for Fromber. So we'll see how that all works out. I want to go back real quick because I know we're talking about the trade. The very first thing, and Brett, you already talked about it. The very first thing we had on our group text when that came out, I was like, "Holy crap!" What's the return? And then as soon as I found out the return, I said, hope there's a counter move for an outfielder on the stove. So you answered the question on that, because I will say, I'm super positive about the trade, but just like what PK was talking about, what Dana Brown came out with today, I'm a little concerned about our outfield. I think we can definitely shore that up before we get to spring training, but it's definitely right now got to be 1B behind Bregman. And if that's, I don't see any way that it's not. And I'm very surprised that they didn't at least get an outfield prospect kind of thrown into that deal.
Yeah.
Well, what is Santander's market as far as
Oh, I mean,
contract?
Oh, I mean,
It's got to be high, right?
yeah, that's the only thing about him signing is it kind of flies in the face a little bit of what the Astros or the reason why they are getting rid of, these
Yeah,
players and offloading these players. But finally, what do? They finally got somebody. They finally got something for something. They didn't wait and let
yeah,
them walk out the door. And that is, I think, key here in this whole thing. So Anthony Santander, according to Spotter Act, because I don't know y'all, how do you say Spotrack or Spot Rack? I don't know how to say it. I honestly think they need to rename the site. It's absurd. The name is, if y'all are listening, Spot Rack, terrible name. Please change it. I've never liked it. So they're saying 17.7 million, 5 for 88. You know what? Honestly, Santander's 30 years old. I could do 5. I could
yeah,
do 5.
yeah,
But you have to
What
sign
about the
him.
AAV?
Yeah, you have to sign him. You have to backload the contract because you don't want to pay him this year. Maybe you give him a signing bonus. And that's the thing with Bregman. I'm like, if Bregman wants 200 million, give him 185 for 6 and give him 15 million signing bonus because that doesn't count against the cap.
yeah, exactly.
But I don't think he's worth 200 million, guys. I'm just saying, I think the bones floating in his elbow is a concern. And I've always said this. I believe Scott Boras, sometimes he's a full hot air, and an agent's job is to sell his product. Okay. And I'm not saying he's a used car salesman, because he's much more than that. But you know what I'm getting at. Like,
Oh yeah,
and that's why the Carlos Correa stuff. And I don't know if y'all heard the one liner he delivered after
no,
after Alex Bregman, after A and B comes C, and that's a championship. And I'm like, oh
oh
God,
God,
who is writing these lines for this guy? Who is moonlighting as his comedy writer? Maybe they got
uh,
maybe they got booed off the Kill Tony stage.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, no, the Santander thing, that was, I mean, he went, so last year signed, what, it was a 1 year, what, 7.4
Yeah,
is what he had last year, and I mean, that way outperformed it. So,
way out.
I mean, the dude had I mean, that was a career year for that guy. So, man, it's that is definitely some news to sit and think about. I hadn't seen that or heard that, so that's good. I mean, what's so are we all kind of agreeing that we're thinking Bregman's out, or we do we? I mean, I feel
I,
like
I'm
I
not
think
ruling it out.
I think like right now,
Go ahead.
now I just don't know. Now I just don't know,
It's like
right?
literally with these things, guys. It literally can turn on a dime, because I can tell you that there have been a couple times where I've been giving bits and pieces of information of, hey, this deal's going to go down, and then literally it changes like within 30 minutes, and then I go and do some investigating afterwards, and I'm like, you know what? That was right. The dude was right. The deal just turned, just changed. And apparently, I don't know if you heard this. There's a pretty credible rumor floating around that the Yankees, Brian Cashman, is pissed, and that Dana Brown apparently was doing the dealing, talking to the Yankees, and I believe Jim Crane kind of stepped in and said, we are not trading with the Yankees.
Had a boy.
And
Whoa.
I'm hearing some rumblings of that. So you know, Jim Crane needs to stay involved. I hear Bagwell's not even in the picture anymore.
Doesn't
You know,
need to be.
the reason why Reggie Jackson didn't, he left, is because I think he was trying to, you know, piddle with the stuff. And so you got to keep a close circle. And I've been shocked at some of the moves that Jim Crane, as a billion-dollar business owner, has made. But the Montero contract, the Abreu contract, the I mean,
Yeah,
you can
those
throw
two are wild.
Javier in there, you can throw in McCullers, all the like. There's a lot of really bad contracts and dead money that we're paying, and that's why we were in the situation with. If we didn't have this situation and we had Kyle Tucker, we could have probably made a deal and kept him here.
Yeah,
I don't know if we would have paid him 400 million, but even last year you could have offered him something. Heck, last year you could, if you had no intentions of keeping Bregman, you should have traded him to get something for him.
yeah.
I'm just, I hate seeing these guys walk and you don't get anything for them.
No, that's been the common thread since Springer left and Cole left and Correa left, and at least for now, at least for now, we've got something back for this guy.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks like, and good Lord, I am I am horrible with Spanish. I'm learning Spanish right now, actually currently, and I don't know enough to translate Carlos Baerga's tweet, but I know he said it is a really big rumor that the Houston Astros, since they said goodbye to Kyle Tucker, could be signing someone like Anthony Santander, and he would be a perfect fit for the right money. I believe that's what he said in Spanish. And that is a very rough translation. If y'all see it on Instagram, don't get mad at the Juice Box Heroes. Get mad at Ace Wheelhouse. But that's, I mean, Carlos Barraga, former major league player, he's got media. He talks to those guys, and those Latin players are tight.
Yeah.
So we could see something move. Max Kepler, Nolan Arenado. I mean, there's all kinds of names out there. Look, hey, Jerks and Profar's out there, guys. I love Jerks and Profar.
So we talked about
Talked
that
about
last
that.
night.
Man, I want a Profar jersey so bad.
I'm about the Profar life, man. I'm bring that dude here.
I like
Bring
that Profar life. We need.
That's right. I'm about it. Let's bring him here. We talked. So last night we did a GM. We put on GM hats,
Nice.
and we all three of us had. Now Chris won. If you want to say the winner, I mean Chris went through detailed into the minor leagues. I mean, like,
wow.
I mean, it made me us look like we didn't know what we were talking about, which is
Yeah, so
normal.
You can lump me into that.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said we. I mean, but his thing was he had us signing Jerkson and Kike, right? And as soon as he said Jerkson, I was like, man, like he
wanted
was
him
on
last year when he was
$1 million contract last year,
crazy.
and then he way outperforms as a career year, right? He's a good player, man. I mean, I say, look, let's be honest. He had one resurrection year. That's what he had. But he was good for the Rangers and for Oakland when he was with them. So
the thing was, when he came up, he was going to be the next superstar, and he didn't perform. So then he got moved to the A's. He was kind of mediocre, and it's like some of these guys, they just need a change of scenery.
Yeah.
And Profar is still, I mean, he's long, he's lean, he's muscular. He doesn't really deal with injuries. He's your prototypical. I mean, he is a player. He's got speed. He can hit for power. He can run a ball down. He would fit perfectly out there. He could play left field like a madman.
Yeah.
At Minute Maid Park. I mean, if you can't get a Santander or someone like that, please go knock on the door. I just saw too on X that the Rangers are talking to Jock Peterson.
Yeah.
I mean, and the Rangers are making moves. I think it's going to be us and the Rangers this next year. I think Seattle, unless they get their heads out of the sand, they're not adding bats right now. They're having a hard time dealing away. They're trying to deal away Luis Castillo because that's such a bad contract for them right now. I mean, it's insane that we are thankfully in the worst division. We are in the AFC South.
I was just about to say the same thing. Thank God we're in the AFC South of baseball, because it's true though. It's true. You've got one competitor in your division, and you just got to get through them. And you're into the playoffs. So
and you don't have to win 90 games. I think. I think you win 87, 88 games. I think you still could easily be division champions.
Yeah. No, I agree 1,000%. 1,000%. But I like the jersey profile, man. That would be great. I would be
going to go get a custom Profar jersey this weekend at Minute Maid. I mean, I'm sorry, Dayton Park, whatever it's called. God dang it.
Yeah, Dayton Park. Yeah. What did you think about that one?
I mean, look.
It is what it is, essentially, right? I mean,
money talks, and you know what walks, man.
That's right.
Dude, I'm still going to call it the juice box. It just rolls off the tongue better than ice cooler or ice box, or I don't know, man. I don't know. I think they're going to paint the oranges as ice cubes or baseballs. If they do ice cubes, they got to make them square. So I think that I bet you just changes to baseballs,
which would be cool too, right? I mean, look, juice box it's just so good. Like you said, it just kind of rolls.
That's why we had to keep it, man.
There you go. We should take prop bets on over under on average temperature inside Dayton Park, because if it's an AC company, y'all better close the gaps in the ceiling in the roof. And then those people that sit out in right field, I got a friend who has first row seats right in right field. They get rained on every time it pours. They better seal that crap up, and it better be cold. It better feel like an ice hockey rink when I go to my first baseball game.
Well, I know that's right.
Because guess who they're playing? Like day one,
The Mets.
The Mets. Juan Soto. 2
Juan
years in a row.
Soto.
We see Juan Soto
back in Minute Maid. Yep.
Wonder what the ESPN game of the day is going to be for opening day, right?
Probably Houston, but not because of Houston.
It ain't because of Houston.
Well, maybe. Hey, day's not over.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Well, man, this was Mr. Brett. I appreciate you jumping on, sir.
Yeah, man, thanks for letting me join you guys.
Everyone listening, make sure you go check him out. He's on the Locked On Astros podcast. He's also on Back to the Bullpen. Make sure you go check him out. He is on X at H-Town Wheelhouse. Brett, again, thanks for jumping on. Get your reaction for this Tucker trade. I'm PK. That's Bryles. That's H-Town Wheelhouse. And you're listening to the Juicebox Heroes podcast. We'll see you.
Happy holidays.